At age 25, life starts asking questions no one prepared you for. Not loudly,
Why does it feel like
not all at
everyone else
once,
is moving
but
forward?
quietly.
I'm just stuck here, left behind.
The feeling of being behind. Even though you're trying, you wake up one morning and realize you're no longer a kid with time. You're an adult with questions. You scroll through your phone and see people you grew up with, getting married, buying cars, traveling the world, announcing promotions, and you smile for them. But deep inside, something tightens. Because no one prepared you for this feeling, the feeling of being behind, even though you're trying. People don't ask how you're doing anymore, they ask when. When will you settle down? When will you succeed? When will you get serious? And every when feels like a reminder that time is moving, with or without you. At night, you lie in bed staring at the ceiling, counting mistakes instead of dreams, wondering if you chose the wrong path or if life somehow skipped you. This is the part no one posts. This is the age where confusion is silent, pressure is constant. This is the story of a young man at age of 25 who felt left behind in life. And the night he finally realized, he was never late. He was just becoming. At age 25, the pressure doesn't come from one place. It comes from everywhere. From family gatherings where people smile first, then ask questions that sit heavy in your chest. So, what are you doing now? Any big plans? When will things start working out? You laugh, you nod, you say, I'm figuring it out, but inside, you feel small. At 25, it feels like the world expects results. Not effort, not patience, not becoming, just proof. You walk outside, scroll your phone, breathe the same air, and still feel watched, measured, compared. It's like everyone has a stopwatch in their hands, and you're the only one who doesn't know when the race started. At age 25, you don't just carry your own expectations, you carry everyone else's too. And the hardest part? You don't want to disappoint them, but you're scared you're already disappointing yourself. At 25, you start noticing the clock in a different way. Not the minutes, not the hours, but the years. Every passing day feels heavier, every choice feels permanent, every missed opportunity whispers, you're running out of time. You lie awake at night staring at the ceiling, counting all the things you haven't done, the dreams you postponed, the mistakes you can't undo, the people you should have reached out to, but didn't. You look at your calendar, your phone, your wall, and it's full of reminders that life isn't waiting for you. Friends are moving forward. Some are succeeding, some are starting families, some are already living the life you imagined for yourself. And there you are, stuck in the quiet panic of your own mind. At 25, the future feels urgent, the present feels heavy, and the past, well, it feels like a trail of moments you can't recover. But here's the truth. Time isn't your enemy, it's your teacher. Even if it feels like it's slipping, you're still moving, you're still becoming. So, pause for a second. Take a breath. At 25, comparison sneaks in quietly. It creeps in when you scroll, when you watch, when you notice life moving faster for everyone else. Your feed fills with highlights, friends getting promotions, traveling the world, buying homes, starting families. And suddenly, your own life feels smaller. You ask yourself, why am I not there yet? What am I doing wrong? Is everyone else ahead and I'm still standing still? At 25, it feels like everyone else has the instructions and you're fumbling in the dark. But here's the truth. Their timeline is not yours. Their success does not define your value. Your worth is not measured by milestones. You are learning, growing, becoming, quietly, steadily. So pause for a moment. Look at yourself, not them. And remember, you are exactly where you're meant to be. At 25, you stop talking about your dreams. Not because they died, but because you're scared of saying them out loud and watching people smile politely and move on. You keep them folded away. In notebooks you don't open anymore. In late-night thoughts you never share. At 25, you learn that hope can feel fragile, so you protect it by staying quiet. You tell yourself you're being realistic. You say, maybe later. Maybe when things are more stable. Maybe when I'm more ready. But deep down, you know the truth. That dream still shows up when the world goes quiet. It taps you on the shoulder when you're tired. It whispers, "You weren't meant to let me go." At 25, hiding your dream feels safer than chasing it. But every time you choose silence, your heart remembers. So let me ask you, what's the dream you're afraid to say out loud, but still hope comes true someday? At 25, loneliness doesn't always look like being alone. Sometimes it looks like laughing with people and still feeling disconnected, like being surrounded by noise but feeling unheard. At 25, you learn how to smile on cue, how to say, "I'm fine," even when something inside you feels empty. You sit by the window at night, watching lights move in the distance, wondering how so many people are living their lives while yours feels paused. You don't talk about it, because you don't want to be a burden, because you don't even know how to explain it. And the hardest part? No one notices. At 25, loneliness is quiet. It shows up after conversations end, after the room empties, after the phone stops buzzing, but in that silence, you meet yourself. You hear your own thoughts, your fears, your hopes, and maybe this lonely season isn't here to break you. It's here to teach you how to stand on your own. So tell me, have you ever felt invisible, even when you weren't alone? At 25, failure doesn't feel like a lesson. It feels like a verdict. One email, one missed call, one door that didn't open, and suddenly, everything you believed about yourself starts to shake. At 25, failure doesn't just hurt, it gets personal. You replay it in your head at night, wondering what you did wrong, what you should have said, who you should have been. You start questioning your choices, your timing, your worth, and the scariest thought creeps in quietly. What if this is it? What if this is as far as I go? At 25, failure makes you feel exposed, like the world is watching, and you don't know how to explain the delay. But here's what no one tells you. Failure isn't the end of the road. It's the point where the road starts asking who you really are. So pause for a second. What's one failure that almost made you give up, but didn't? At 25, you start realizing something terrifying. You don't fully recognize yourself anymore. You're not the kid you used to be, the one with loud dreams and reckless hope. But you're not the adult you thought you'd become either. You're stuck somewhere in between. Not lost, just unfinished. You look in the mirror and ask questions you never rehearsed for. Who am I becoming? And when did life get this quiet? You smile around people, but inside, there's a constant tug of war. One version of you wants safety, a steady path, no risks, no disappointment. The other version is screaming, begging you not to forget the dream you once promised yourself. And the scariest part? Both versions are you, so you stand there, between comfort and courage, between fear and faith, wondering which choice will define the rest of your life. Pause. If you've ever felt stuck between who you were and who you're afraid to become, type "me" in the comments. You're not alone in this moment. At 25, life stops glamorizing itself. The dreams are still there, but now they come with long nights, small paychecks, and effort no one applauds. This is the season where you work in silence, where progress feels invisible, where you're giving everything and wondering if it's enough. You wake up tired. You go to bed tired. And somewhere in between, you learn discipline the hard way. At 25, life humbles you, not to break you, but to build something real. You start understanding that strength isn't loud, growth isn't instant, and becoming someone solid takes patience. These are the years no one posts about, the ones that don't look impressive, the ones that shape your character. So if you're in this season right now, showing up even when no one notices, remember this. The roots you're growing now are going to hold you up later. If this feels like your life, type strength in the comments. You're doing better than you think. At 25, something changes inside you. Not suddenly, not loudly, but quietly. And for the first time, it feels real. You're still scared. The doubts are still there. But they don't control you the way they used to. You stop chasing noise, stop explaining yourself, stop running just to prove something. At 25, you start listening to your instincts, your limits, your truth. You realize peace isn't found in having it all figured out. It's found in trusting yourself enough to keep going. You learn that rest isn't quitting, slowing down isn't failing, and choosing yourself doesn't make you selfish. This is the moment you stop fighting who you are and start becoming who you're meant to be. So take a breath right now. If you've felt a shift inside you, even a small one, you're growing, even if it's quiet. At 25, you finally realize something important. You've been blaming yourself for things you didn't understand back then, for choices you made while scared, for paths you took just to survive, for not knowing what you know now. At 25, you learn that growth doesn't come from being hard on yourself. It comes from being honest. You look back at your past with softer eyes. You see the nights you cried in silence, the days you showed up anyway, the strength it took just to keep going. And for the first time, you stop calling it failure. You call it learning. You call it becoming. You forgive yourself for taking longer, for getting lost, for doubting your own worth. Because the truth is, you never gave up. You were healing. So take a breath. If you've ever been too hard on yourself, type, "I forgive myself" in the comments. This moment matters. At 25, you're not late. You're not broken. You're not failing at life. You're in the middle of becoming someone stronger than the version you once prayed to be. Every delay taught you patience. Every setback taught you resilience. Every quiet season taught you who you are when no one is watching. So if you're still figuring it out, good. That means you're growing. One day, you'll look back at this chapter and realize this was the moment everything started to change. And if this story feels like yours, subscribe. Because this channel isn't about perfection, it's about becoming. And your story is just getting started.